Hello everybody, it is KJ from Metro Hobbies and it is a games day. I've got a lot to show you today from restocks, favorites and some new games. So without further ado, let's check out the cardboard. Okay, so I want to start with a restock because this is a really fun card game. I'll give you a little bit of a look at this. I can't open it up, unfortunately. Didn't bring my copy in. But yeah, this is a really fun card game. It's based on a philosophy concept, the trial by trolley. So trial by trolley, probably a lot of you know what you're dealing with is having to make a decision about, I think the classic one is you've got two railways and there is 5 people on one side, there's 5 people on one side, and then one person on the other, and you have to make the decision about which track it goes down. Is it going to go down to kill the 5 people or the 1 people? But you have to be responsible for the switch. And there's so many different variations of this. It's if you had responsibility of the switch, if that person was an evil person, if that person was going to go on and save millions of lives, but those 5 people weren't going to achieve anything, who do you save? And there's many iterations, and they've turned that into a really cool party game, which is very much a debate game. So there is somebody who plays the conductor, and they get to actually ultimately make the decision about which track they go down. But there's 2 teams. One team is vying for one track, and the other is the other track. Now you have a set of cards. One is going to be the good people, if you like, so it's don't kill the little old granny. And the other people are questionable. So maybe somebody who would go on to commit genocide is probably questionable. And so which track do you convince the conductor to run the tram down and kill the person? But there's not just good and evil cards, there's also modifier cards. You could go on to say, hey, that grandma, she's going to go on and she has lots of children in her garden because she's been feeding them lollies and scaring them. So there's lots of modifier cards. It's really fun to convince the conductor who is going to die, and whoever loses a particular round is going to get a token that says that they lost, but then you swap. So your team doesn't stay same through all the game. It actually is one person who's going to win, the person who got the least death tokens throughout the game. So presumably they are the best debater in terms of getting people not to kill their people. It is a lot of fun. It plays well with families. It plays well with friends. It's great to get out at uni. It's great to get after work, have a few drinks, have it sober. Really a lot of fun. Highly recommended, just back in stock. All right. So now we're going to go on to a bit more heavier games. That was our party game. I want to talk to you about, this is a re-edition of the Great Western Trail. This is the 2nd edition of the Great Western Trail. And this one is a gorgeous reproduction. This has got to do with Plan B Games and Eagle-Spill, who've redone this game. It's by Alexander Pfister. Now, Alexander Pfister is famous for his Euro games being an economic game. So you're making decisions or meaty decisions about how many, in this case, cows you have, or cattle, because this is set in the 19th century. You have really nice little components. I'm just going to try and show you here. You've got these little meeples that have meeple hats. And so they're your little people that represent you on the board. So you're making decision about where to go. You have to get your cattle to market on a train. There's buildings along the way. There's decisions about which buildings you go to. You can work on making your train more efficient and get your cattle to market faster, or you can focus on having a more variety, higher valuable cattle. And either way is going to lead you down a good path for getting the right amount of points. Ultimately, you want an amount of victory points. The production on this is incredibly good. This is definitely a loved game, but if you haven't played many board games, I wouldn't start here. But if you've been playing Catan and you're wanting something with a little bit more meaty decision, this is a well-loved game for a good reason, and it's got a reprint for a good reason. It's got a nice solo game in it. This is something that you'd recommend for ages 14 plus. The artwork is lovely, and let's face it, who doesn't want to own a cattle ranch and herd their cows across the Great West in the 19th century? And watch out for bandits, because bandits. You gotta watch out for bandits. So I'm gonna leave that for you to discover fully on your own. Really excited about getting that one in. Again, if you're wanting something that's a little bit meatier than Catan, it's definitely meatier than Catan. Lots of decision space. Great board game. Now I'm gonna move on to Arkham Horror, the card game. So Arkham Horror, the card game, is what's called a living card game. So a living card game is something that Fantasy Flight specifically do. It's unlike a trading card game. So in a trading card game like Magic, you don't know what you're going to get in that pack of cards, and you might not get the one that you're after and you're all excited. This one, you know that there's a story. Every single expansion for this, the cards are an extra story. So the way Arkham Horror is, it blends card games and role-playing. It is based on the Lovecraft Arkham Horror. In here, you play a character from the city Arkham, England. You are going through and solving mysteries. It is a little bit of it's Lovecraft. Okay, so there's going to be like a Cthulhu character in there. The artwork is gorgeous. This is a reboxing. It actually includes some of the original expansions in there. The artwork has been updated. It's a gorgeous production. You can play this on your own if you want to, but I highly recommend, obviously, going down this essentially choose your adventure mystery and trying to solve it. It's like, does anyone have a tool to solve this? I don't know what's behind that door. Should we be worried about what's behind that door? And then the expansion, Dunwich Legacy, is coming out really soon. Very excited. It's going to add even more story. So this is very much like, let's get the next novel. Let's get the next novel. And you know what you're getting. A lot of fun. Great mechanisms in these ones. Arkham Horror. Highly recommend. Check it out. It's a story in a game. All right. Now, I'm going to talk about Azul. Azul is a really, really popular game. This is the original incarnation. Set in Portugal. It is a tile laying game. You're supposed to be drafting the tiles. Drafting means that there's a selection of tiles that you can choose from rather than a random deck, and then you choose the specific tiles that you want. Obviously, somebody might choose it, and then you're laying them on your board. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous production. The tiles feel really, really nice. There is a randomness in the sense of when you originally draw them out. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up Azul, there's also Azul Summer Pavilion. There's also glass, I believe it's Sintra glass. So we're talking Spain and Portugal here. Always gorgeous production, always about tile laying games. These are the original two that have come out, but right now, just released, and this is really cool, really exciting, that is the Queen's Garden. Azul, the Queen's Garden. So usually it's tiles. Usually the king is, I need a stained glass window for my church, or I want my bathroom redone, or I want my... This is all about the Queen's Garden. And instead of tiles, I mean, they are still tiles. If you look at the components, they're definitely still tiles, but you'll notice there's pictures of birds, there's pictures of trees, there's pictures of grass, because you're building up the garden. You'll also notice on the board, there's actually spots on there. This is a little bit like Calico. This is a little bit like Calico in the sense that you're trying to work out where the best position is to place it. Now, Calico is a great game. Is basically you're trying to place it so the pattern is ideally recognized. You get more points if you put it in a particular arrangement. Now, you're obviously not going to have full control about which tile you get, but the drafting mechanism gives you enough control that you can make some meaningful decisions about which tile you get and where you place it, and on the board where you place it will matter in terms of points. These are gorgeous production games, and they're incredible to have, and every time they have a new iteration, it just brings more life back to this same game. So I'm sure there's a lot of you that have heard of Azul. If not, doesn't matter. Pick up Azul Queen's Garden. It is gorgeous. It is probably said to be one of the slightly more challenging of them, and in that sense have a more longevity in terms of enjoyment over the years of owning it. And it looks gorgeous. Okay, so that's what I have today for you. Azul Queen's Garden. The Great Western Trail for those strategy decisions. For a storytelling horror adventure, Arkham Horror, the card game, and some for light fun and some interesting decision with your friend. It's a Trial by Trolley Philosopher's game. It's super, super fun. Trial by Trolley. All right, everybody, that's everything I have for today. And if you can imagine it, you can immerse yourself in it.